All right, everybody, tonight we're going to be doing practice of problem solving for solving multi-step inequalities. I will do the odd ones, so I'll start with number 7. We have the inequality 18 is less than negative 3 times 4x minus 2. Now to solve this, the first thing I have to do is distribute my properties over here on this side. So I have negative 3 times 4x. Well, negative 3 times 4 is negative 12. So negative 3 times 4x will be negative 12x. Next, I'll take negative 3 and multiply it to negative 2. Well, negative times a negative is a positive, and 3 times 2 is 6. And now I've expanded my inequality to read 18 is less than negative 12x, excuse me, plus 6. And now I can go ahead and isolate that variable. First, I'm going to use my properties of subtraction. I'll subtract 6 from both sides to get rid of 6. And now that gives me 12 is less than negative 12x. And now I'll use my properties of division. To get rid of negative 12, I'll divide it by negative 12. And that will leave me x by itself. Whatever I divide from one side, though, I have to divide from the other side. And 12 divided by negative 12 is negative 1. Since I divided by a negative number, my inequality symbol does have to turn around. So x is less than negative 1. Well, it is not equal to it because there's not an equal to sign underneath. That means it will be an open circle. And since it's less than 1, A has to be correct. We can eliminate B because it says that it's greater than negative 1, and that's not true. We can eliminate, C because it says it will be equal to negative 1, and that's not true. And D is incorrect because it's not greater than negative 1 or equal to negative 1. All right, let's scroll down to our next odd number, which would be number 9. The length of the picture frame is 7 inches more than the width. For what value of x is the perimeter of the picture frame greater than 154 inches? So they're saying that the perimeter, the outside of it, equals bigger than 154 inches. This tells me that I can go ahead and, that tells me I have 2 x's that make up the width of the perimeter. And the length of the perimeter is going to be 2 times, plus 2 times x plus 7. And that will is going to says for what value of x is the perimeter, the frame greater than, so this has to be bigger than, not equal to, 154 inches. All right, first we're going to distribute our properties, and that's going to give us 2x plus 2x. And 2 times 7 is 14, so this would be plus 14. For those that didn't catch that, 2 times x equal 2x, 2 times 7 is 14, and that is going to be greater than 154. Next, I can go ahead and see that I'm going to combine these 2 x's to make 4x. Because they're like terms, I can do that. So now my new inequality is 4x plus 14 is greater than 154. Using my properties of subtraction, I'm going to subtract 14 from both sides, allowing me to isolate 4x. And I can do that because 14 minus 14 is 0, and I'm not going to bring 0 down because what's used is saying plus 0. So 4x is greater than, well, 154 minus 14 looks to me to be 140. Now I have to isolate the variable by using my properties of division. So I'll divide 4x by 4. which means I'll divide 140 by 4. So whatever I do to one side of the inequality, I must do to the other. And now x is isolated by itself. I did not divide by a negative number, so I don't switch the sign. And now 140 divided by 4 will give me 35. So x must be greater than 35. So what is the solution to this inequality? X is greater than 35. Oh, I'm sorry, that's the wrong one. And I've even give you a little hint to the other here, didn't I? Because this shouldn't be here. And let's see. Will that be the answer then? X is greater than 35. I'm going on to number 11 now. So solve the inequality. Okay. We've got multiple questions here, so we're going to have to answer all of them. So solve this inequality, and if I do, I'm going to have, let's see, 30 is greater than or equal to 6 times 2/3. Well, that's 6 times 2, which is 12. 12 divided by 3 is 4. So this would be 4z. And now we have to combine it with this one. 6 times 1 is 6, and 6 divided by 3 is 2. So this would be positive 2. And now if I solve this, I realize I have to use my property subtraction to get rid of that positive 2. Whatever I do one side, I do the other. So now I have 28 is going to be greater than or equal to 44z. Okay, and now I have to divide 4 away from both sides to isolate that variable z. And that tells me that z, I'm not dividing by a negative number, so my sign will not change. 28 divided by 4, that's going to be, I think, 7. So the answer to 11a is z is greater than or equal to 7, or if you want, or 7 is greater than or equal to z, or you could even say that z is less than or greater than 7. So let's see, I'll put both those here. You could have 7 is greater than or equal to z, or you could have z is less than or equal to 7. All right, let's go to letter B. It says solve the inequality. Oh boy, now they're going into decimals. So let's work this one here. We've got 15, and we'll work this one over here. That was A, so this would be B. And this one says, well, 15.6 is going to be less than 22.7, oh, that's 15, yeah, 2.7z, so that's times z, so that's going to be 2.7z. Minus 1, so well, 2.7 times negative 1 is going to be negative 2.7. And then finally it says minus 0.6. So minus 0.6. Okay, let's work this. And realize that we got the 2.7z by multiplying 2.7 times z, and the negative 2.7 by multiplying 2.7 times negative 1. And we're ready to work this. First, let's combine our common, our like terms. We have a negative 2.7 minus 0.6. So we're going to have to add those together. That's going to turn this to 15.6 is less than 2.7z. And well, 7 plus 6 is 13. So that's going to increase here to negative 3.3. And now that we have that, we can go ahead and work our inequality to get rid and isolate, to get rid of negative 3.3 and isolate that variable. We're going to have to use my properties of addition, so we'll add 3.3 to this side, which means we'll have to add 3.3 to this side. And now we have, well, for adding this is going to be 9. This is going to be 8. And this will be 1. So 18.9 will be less than 2.7z. And now we have to divide 2.7 away from 2.7z, leaving z by itself, which means I'll have to divide 2.7 from 18.9. Now, if I do that, I'm going to have to use a calculator here. I mean, I don't have to. I could do it the long way, but I don't want to spend all night doing this any more than you do. So we've got 18.9, and we're going to divide it by 2.7. That's going to give us 7. So now we have 7 is less than z. So over here, we're going to have 7 is less than z. Or you could even have that z is greater than 7. All right, let's go with C now. It says, are there any values of z that solve both inequalities? Use a number line to support your answer. Well, if I was to put a number line here and put both of these on it, I'd realize my first one says that z is less than or equal to 7. So let's just put 7 here. And if it's less than or equal to, well, that's going to go ahead and allow me to put a dot there. And since it's going to be less than or equal to all the numbers that are less than that. So it will include 7 and all the dots, or excuse me, and all the numbers less than 7. But on B it says that z is actually greater than 7. And in this case, I wouldn't put a dot, I would put a circle, and then put all the numbers that are bigger than 7. So as you can see, when it asks, are there any values of z that are both inequalities, my answer would have to be no, because in B, it doesn't include 7. It includes all the numbers bigger than 7. And for A, it includes 7 and all the things smaller, but it doesn't include anything bigger than 7. So my answer would be no. Okay, and my number line supported it. All right, I'm going to number 13. Use both the addition and multiplication properties of inequality to solve this inequality, and then graph the solution on the number line. Well, if I take this, it's going to be 2 times 3y minus 5. It's going to be less than negative 16. So by using addition, properties of addition and multiplication, first, we're going to use distributing properties. And 2 times 3y will be 6y. And 2 times negative 5 will be negative 10. And now we have our new inequality, 6y minus 10 is less than negative 16. Now I will use my properties of addition. Because I have negative 10 here, I'll have to add 10. Our properties of addition say whatever I do to one side, as long as I do it to the other, I'm keeping my inequality the same. This gives me 6y is less than, well, negative 16 plus 10 is negative 6. And now I'm going to use my properties of multiplication. Let's see. Well, I guess I already used multiplication there. What I didn't realize is I'm also going to have to use properties of division. The only other way is if I multiplied 1/6 to both sides, I guess that would be allowed. I guess I could multiply 1/6, and if I did, I'd have to multiply 1/6 to this side. A much easier way would be to divide from both, but since it's asking me to use multiplication properties, I'll go ahead and play their silly game. Now I'm going to have, that gets rid of my 6 because this is like 6 over 1, so they cross out. Y is by itself. And I didn't divide or multiply by a negative number, so my sign stays the same. And now I realize that I have 6 over 1 again, and 1 over 6. These eliminate each other out because using my butterfly method, I'll turn these both into 1. Now I have negative 1 times 1, and that's negative 1. And then 1 times 1 is 1. So this will be negative 1 over 1. And of course, we all know that any number over itself is its 1, so this would be negative 1. So if I was to do this, I would put on my number line negative 1 right here. It doesn't equal it because there's not a line underneath, so I'll put a circle. And then I'll simply say, since y is less than negative 1, my arrow has to point to everything that is less than negative 1. And let's see if there's a number 15. Doesn't look like there is. So that is it for tonight. Good luck with the rest of them, and I'll see you in class.